What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys. Well, we had another town hall, the first for June. This was for June 5th, and some interesting stuff on there. Obviously, it's the first one after this most recent planning session that the team had, and more importantly, I should say, there was the release of the new roadmap, which I won't be getting into in this video. I'll do a separate deep dive, so keep an eye out for that. But we can talk about what was said in the town hall around the roadmap, and there were actually some other things that weren't even on the roadmap, but were talked about here, which I think were important. So as the usual caveat goes, or usual disclaimers go, this is not a full-on summary. There are fantastic video and written content creators that put together summaries. This is just the 5 things that stuck out to me, and as you'll see here, there's a couple of bonus items which I just wanted to mention. We won't dig in too deep into those, but I am looking at the official Splinterlands Town Hall summary on the Hive blog or Peak D, so we'll use this as a visual reference for whatever we need, such as, there you go, the roadmap, and here are my notes for your visual reference. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The first of which is that bi-weekly town halls are going to become a thing. So the speculation was correct that we are moving to bi-weekly town halls. And this kind of makes sense because the team has a 2-week sprint cycle, right? So it doesn't really make sense for them to come talk about, again, what they're planning to do in whatever current sprint that they're in. And from what I saw in the planning, it's very specific. I feel like they've drilled down into a very good kind of release schedule and planning schedule, for lack of better terms, just because it's just like, what are we doing this in this sprint? What are we doing this sprint? What are we doing this sprint? So there's no need for them to come on and rehash it twice. But that leaves, every other week kind of like wanting in a bit. So what's cool is that Aggie said he's still going to be there and he wants to host some kind of player open mics as long as people keep it clean and keep it productive or constructive. So I'm actually really excited about that. I don't, the weekly town halls are cool. I love it, but we don't need all of the stuff. We don't need to be taking up the time of a lot of the folks that are very generous with their time to come on and share different updates. If it's just Aggie doing, Q&A or hanging out with the community, I think that would be just as good on the off weeks. So I'm actually really excited for this change. I think it's going to be positive for the community as well as for the team. And I don't know what the player open mics are going to be like, but I'm excited to jump in. Okay, number 2, with the new roadmap, which now goes until early August, we have Land 1.5 and Tower Defense that are both on there, and it sounds like there could be some potential delay. So we were expecting a big June, and from the get-go, I was a little skeptical that we weren't going to get everything in June, such as which includes not just Land 1.5, Tower Defense, and GLG, which is not included here, but for the Genesis League goals or Genesis League platform. But there's a chance we get none of them in June at this point. So I don't know where things are at. I don't want to, I'm not trying to throw shade or be extra bearish. I'm just saying that the goalposts have shifted a little bit, just because last thing that we heard was June for all or most of this stuff. And now it looks like it's planning for, it's going to come out this age, but this age goes until August, early August, which means that July is now a very, very likely potential release date. So, we're in the first week of June already. Obviously, I don't want the team to rush anything. So there's no need for us to just be, incessantly on this. It's just like, obviously, June was always going to be something that was going to be tough for the team to hit, as Weirdbeard has been saying in many of the recent town halls. So hopefully we can hit everything in July, and this Age of the Phoenix is much more fruitful in terms of releases. But that is the big update in terms of just timing for the 2 major projects we are expecting in this Age, which are Tower Defense and Land 1.5. Okay, number 3, Weirdbeard was very mum on any kind of dates and said that he's going to leave that to marketing. And I want to call this out because he was very explicit about it. And now that it's been kind of said in the public town halls, one of the things that I saw that I really liked from the planning meetings was the fact that you had a lot of the team getting together with marketing and just saying like we need to be better about how we communicate things. So Weirdbeard is obviously, championing that and taking that to the next level as he is. I don't know if he's the head of the enhancements team, but he's definitely doing a lot of work for the enhancements team. So all the cool projects that they are working on, including bringing us Land 1.5 and Tower Defense, he doesn't want to give any specific dates on it. And I think that is kind of how it's going to be moving forward, which is good and bad. Obviously, let's go to the bad, right? We love to hear like, oh my God, is it coming? Could it be this soon? Could we be getting it like within this time frame? Obviously, we love that. But then we always seem to get disappointed because the team says something without really fully thinking through all of the development, hurdles that they're going to have to jump. So in a way, I think this is going to come off as a much better thing in the long run for the community to just be, like, we're excited. We want to know when this stuff is coming, but we're not going to hear actual dates until there is a date, until it is done or close to completion. So we're in a weird place now where, the two of the main things, Land 1.5 and Tower Defense, this stuff was supposed to be done months ago, right? In fact, it's supposed to be maybe even at the end of last year, we were supposed to get like Land, we weren't supposed to get Land 1.5, but we were supposed to get like Land Phase 1 at the end of last year. That got pushed. Land 1.5 is this Band-Aid solution, as Nate was saying, that has turned into its own monster or beast, which I think it absolutely is, right? Land 1.5 is going to be quite significant. So at this point in time, these are just the TBDs or TBAs that we have for the current projects. But in the future, I'm hopeful that keeping mum on any kind of release dates or timelines until the team is sure that they can deliver in those timelines is going to be something that just helps the community take a deep breath, take a break, like go somewhere else, right? Like we don't need to be tuning in and the biweekly town halls. We don't need to be tuning in expecting that, something is going to release, something is going to be announced as a new project and then released the following week, right? So at this point, I'm glad Weirdbeard was kind of staying true to that or staying very kind of strict on that. But that is the position moving forward, that marketing should be kind of leading the announcements for all these things, which I don't necessarily disagree with. And it helps everybody make sure that they are on the same page, including the community. Number 4, Aggie got into an interesting conversation during the Q&A, not conversation, but into monologue during the Q&A where he was talking about hearing from like another TCG, and he didn't mention it by name, so I'm not sure which one it is, but how there's just so much inflation in that economy and that card game is essentially dead, right? He said, obviously, they're aware of this. They don't want that to be the case with Splinterlands. I'm sure many people are going to make the argument that it has already happened. We are just a dead man walking as a project. But just the fact that they're aware, he's aware, and talking about we're not going to release, or when I say we, the team is not going to release, Rebellion until the market picks back up. They're going to be very thoughtful about releasing any kind of mini set, promo set, right? So Aggie, I think, is still on that, and it sounds like that promo set. Again, I don't know if the ink is dry on the deal, but there is, it's on the roadmap, for example. So it sounds like that might be the only set that we get by the end of the year, which has kind of been in line with my thinking, where we're not going to get Rebellion until sometime in 2024. So, again, I just wanted to call that out because, everybody's just like, the team doesn't know what they're doing. They're not aware. They're just whatever. I'm just like, obviously they are, right? Aggie addressed it head on, and I really appreciated that. He's just like, there's a lot. We don't want that to happen. There's a lot of stuff that we need to eat through. And cards, he even said, cards are infinitely inflationary. So we need to find areas for them to go, Land being one of them and probably being one of the biggest ones. But I'm really hopeful that the team and the DAO in the future will be able to find creative ways to get rid of cards. And, we've done a lot of card burning on this channel, and I think there could be creative ways to burn cards for new cards in the future if that's something that the community has an appetite for, just to clear up CP, to clear up a lot of that excess DEC I guess it's not really excess DEC unless we burn it, but you get what I'm saying. And then number 5, modern format. There's and the bot ban that is going to be going into effect after the successful or passing proposal. This was interesting because Weirdbeard got into it, and like I said, I want to be very careful because obviously I was privy to some conversations during the planning session, but I'm glad that Weirdbeard was very explicit in the town hall today about how much work is going into this. Now, a lot of folks are going to come back and be like, oh, well, we were sold that it was just going to be flipping a switch and that wasn't going to take time away from the team. And you're absolutely right. That's kind of how it was sold. But if you heard what Weirdbeard was talking about today, there is so much more to it. And I actually admire and appreciate the team being much more thoughtful about this moving forward, because as Weirdbeard said, and as was kind of talked about when the proposal was live, yeah, you could just flip the Cloudflare switch on and that they could say, well, we did what we were supposed to. But that really just addresses botnets, right? Weirdbeard was getting even more kind of surgical today, talking about what are battle helpers, right? You see XBot with its battle helper, and I'm sure there's a lot of private battle helpers. What about people who have spreadsheets or internal things, right? Like, how do you navigate that? What is allowed and what isn't allowed? What is considered a bot? What isn't considered a bot? More specifically, what is considered like anti-competitive versus competitive play, right? So ultimately, they're taking a very close look at this and a much deeper dive into what that will be, because to Weirdbeard's point, if they just flip the switch and then they ban bots, right? They all these botnets. A lot of the botnets have left already. I don't know if you've seen like the daily active players, but I think we're less than 50,000 the last couple of days, which is another topic in and of itself. But that being said, we've gotten rid. Like we went from 500,000 daily active users 18 months ago down to 50,000, right? And we know that wasn't all real people. So a lot of the botnets, the bot farms, have left. So it just becomes, well, what are we looking for? What are we looking for with this? And I would argue that like this is no longer about fighting the bot farms. Like banning bots in Modern was to create a human versus human gameplay area. Meaning that even though I use Archmage on my account, I don't want to be able to use Archmage on my account, and I want to be sure that everybody that I'm playing against won't be able to use Archmage or XBot or Splintermate or any kind of bot or battle helper. I'm just going head to head against another human being and the cards that they have collected, the collection that they have built. So that's kind of where things are at with this. I don't know what the details are for it, obviously, or I'm sorry, I don't know what the detailed timeline for it is, but obviously nothing is happening until land until land is out, and tower defense obviously is going to be a part of that too. But that's still very much a third party thing that they're waiting on. So those are the 5 main takeaways from today. Again, it was an interesting town hall. It sounds as though we're just in a holding pattern, and we continue to stay in a holding pattern, which kind of sucks considering today's also the day that Binance was sued by the SEC. So we saw SPS hit a new all-time low. We're officially under 2 cents now, and I don't know where things go because, like I said, I was expecting a bigger summer from crypto. We're not quite getting that yet, so there's no crypto summer wave that we're missing. But it also really sucks to see SPS continue to just dive lower and lower. So at this point in time, I don't think that there's a bottom, right? I don't think that there's a bottom. This is not FUD, and I don't think that we're going to zero, like 0, meaning that the project dies. But I think anybody who thinks that there is a floor, whether artificial or not, I think all of that's been busted. Sure, somebody's going to comment here that 1.8 cents is where the I believe early private investors were able to get their deal. Maybe that'll be a floor, but I highly doubt that there is a floor at this point. And if we do see a lot more anti-crypto action happening, anti-crypto sentiment from the U.S. government or just governments around the world, we could be in for a very, very rough summer. So there is no floor to me. This thing could go as low as possible without actually hitting 0. But we'll see what SPS staking does whenever that comes in, and we'll see what land does whenever that comes in. Okay, so that is the 5 main things. The quick bonus items. The Chibi Dinos founder was on the town hall. I believe his name is Charlie. It was very high level. There was not much or anything in there. So, it's cool to see someone from an outside project coming in and, heaping a lot of praise on Splinterlands and what the Splinterlands team has been able to do. But we know that already. We like them. So, it is what it is. I do want to check out Primal Hoop, though, and do more. Or sorry, not do more, but hope to learn more about what their plans are with the GLS platform. The other bonus items. So this is on the roadmap, but there is a tournament entry overhaul which will be removing CP. And I think that's great. I don't know what this is going to look like moving forward, but I hadn't even thought about tournaments in CP. I was so worried about SPS staking requirements for ranked play that I forgot CP was one of the big hurdles for tournaments as well. And maybe people look at SPS staking requirements as a bigger hurdle, but I don't know if the CP hurdle is going to be replaced with anything else for tournaments. But I do hope that we get an overhaul on tournaments completely. Tech modernization is only 50 to 60% done, and that's only on the front end. The back end has not even started yet. So for anybody hoping that we're going to get a new updated mobile experience soon, we're not. And, one of the more discouraging things, I don't think he meant it to be discouraging, but the way that he phrased it was, and I forgot who it even was. It might've been an investigator. It's just like, yeah, it'll never be done. That was almost like the sentiment. It's like, yeah, it'll never, oh no, I think it was weird. But it was just like, yeah, it'll never be done, because it's just like when we finally get to the last one, we have to go back to the first one that we updated or migrated over and then re-update that. So I think that's what he meant by it, but I don't know when we will get to a point in time in which the mobile experience will be seamlessly parallel with what the desktop experience is. Obviously, we're not going to get a mobile app just because of the Apple Store and everything that's happening there, or Apple Store or Google Play Store. But I would like to see a better mobile experience overall. And we're only 50 to 60% of the way there. So I don't, and it sounds like a big part of that is going to be the battles. So whenever that does happen, that should get us to 70%, according to Investigator. So we're making our way. And it sounds like the back end, even though that hasn't started yet, maybe the mobile will be okay, but we're just barely halfway there. So patience. Patience is going to be needed. And then lastly, this was actually a really interesting suggestion. Somebody mentioned that there are still, despite the bear market and everything, there are still 500,000 battles played every single day. And they were asking, like, couldn't the company make money, or the DAO make money, like have it be like a split revenue to just show ads, like a banner ad or something on every single battle screen when it pops up? And I'm like, that's actually kind of brilliant. I mean, I don't know. People probably are against the whole ad model, but if you are trying to, earn extra revenue, and a lot of that revenue may be going towards the DAO, which is community owned or owned by the SPS stakers, I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. But here's the thing. How many companies are going to be willing to spend ad revenue when they do just a little bit of research and see all different kinds of botting services and botting conversation, right? Yeah, those battle screens are definitely happening, but nobody's looking at them, right? So, I mean, how many battles do I play a day? My bot plays like 24 battles a day. Do I get in and do a couple of them? Sure, but I was traveling a lot recently, and I just let the bot run, and so that's 24 battles per day, right? 24 battles per day. I'm not counting my alt accounts that are botted too. So 24 battles per day per account that are just nobody's seeing anything that will provide any value to advertisers. So it's a good idea, but the actual implementation may only be available unless we get something like an effective modern format that is human only. But that is all I have, guys. This ended up being a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, leave them in the comment section below. We'll continue the discussion there. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.